Hello? Okay. Alright, so I'm building a colorless deck. Now, colorless decks get frickin' weird when you start building them. This is like the exact opposite of what you would normally do. So, here's the weird thing. A lot of the colorless cards that I have, some of them rely on color. Things like Sunburst, where it enters the battlefield with additional charge counters based on the colored mana spent on it. Now, I'm currently trying to figure out where this is. Wait, can't I... Huh? Oh. And it's not even on the screen. Okay, well, I guess we're gonna deal with it. So, the issue with that is, those cards are not good. They are not as good as other cards that I could do. So, this is all of the land that I have access to. These are single of lands. Now, what we're going to start with is aiming to cut the lands down to 40. Ideally, a deck like this should only need to run about 34 to 36 lands. So what we end up running into is, and I might not even finish with this before I have to go. I'm making sure that people can get home. So first off, anything that references color is getting pulled. Things like fetch lands. Now, this is fine and all, but there are better options. So we're going to pull that. And then, technically, Jund Panorama would be fine to keep in, because it only references the land in the second ability, but we never use it, so what's the point? Artifacts. This is being included. In Ventress Fair, you gain a life at the beginning of your PP or 3 or more artifacts. This is Metalcraft on a land. That is being included, period. Isolated Watchtower. This is kind of one of those weird cards where it depends on how many special lands we have in, because otherwise, if we don't have a lot of special lands that are going into the deck, this becomes really good. But it's horrid if we end up with basically half of these. Return. Cycling's always good. That's meh. Energy counters, they're great, but not what we're looking for. Mana. Basic land cycling, again. There is a plan for this deck. I do plan on putting a Crucible of Worlds in to grab lands out of the graveyard. So this can be included. Because basic land cycling, we're probably going to end up with at least 1 or 2 basic lands. Arcane Lighthouse. We have no real protection from steel spells or anything like that other than Lightning Greaves and Swiftfoot Boots. If we do not have those on the field and we lose a creature, we have to rely on things like Arcane Lighthouse here to... Or wait, no, this is Homeward Path is the one I'm thinking of. But things like Arcane Lighthouse make it so that we can target things. We don't have access to big removal spells like Wrath of God or Damnation. I'm gonna... yeah. Crumbling Vestige. This can ramp us for a turn as like a landfall trigger, but it does do a colored mana, which we don't really care. Crucible of the Spirit Dragon. This is only good with like 1 card in the deck, and the Yak. Mana. This, Cavern of Souls, is a weird one. So, Cavern of Souls is a very tribal card. But it also is colorless mana. It doesn't enter tapped, so it's fine. So we're keeping it. Cradle of the Accursed. It's a man land on a stick. You sacrifice it and you get a creature. That stays. Now, that's kind of weird, especially given how it can only be activated as a sorcery. But it does enter untapped, and we can use it for mana. Crystal Vein, a little bit of mana ramp. Command Beacon, good. Command Tower, that's okay. Command Tower is great in any 2-color and above deck. Generally, though, it's not great in a colorless deck. Panoramas, again, Evolving Wilds, Terramorphic Expanse, and Tectonic Edge. Basically, anything that requires that we grab a basic land or a colored land, we cannot add. Transguild Promenade is being removed because, well, it's pay 1 to have it enter the battlefield, but then it doesn't provide anything other than colorless mana after that. Temple of the False Gods. Include. Period. It does not matter. Hostile Desert. This is a good card if you were to be in a much more graveyard-centric deck like Dredge is a great card. But we're not going for Dredge, so this needs to be pulled. Haven of the Spirit Dragon. Again, this is kind of only good if we get... Actually, I plan on having Ugin in my deck. Basically, period. So this becomes one of those weird include cards. You pay 2, sacrifice it, and return Ugin to your hand. Yeah. Hold out Shelter. Nope. Haunted Fengraf returns a creature card. Okay. Homeward Path. This is the one I was looking for. This allows you to return creatures that have been stolen to their owners inside the board. High Market. There is actually a combo that High Market goes really well with, and that I will talk about later, probably later tonight. Gyre Reach Sanitarium. This is an okay card for disrupting hands. It's going to stay for now, but it'll probably get pulled a little later. Gargoyle Castle gives us a 3/4 colorless flying artifact creature token for 5, and tap and sacrifice the land. Again, there are plans for graveyard stuff, so this becomes kind of a good idea. Grasping Dunes is -1/-1 counters for 1. Now, assuming we have Crucible of Worlds out, this becomes really good. Ghost Quarter allows you to basically destroy a land in return for a basic. Most of the commander decks don't run too many basic lands, so that's okay. Gateway Plaza, again, it's pay 1 to get a mana. Unclaimed Territory, you select a creature type, and you can only use that mana, colored mana. Now, Urza's is an interesting one. Each piece of Urza taps for 1, but once all 3 are out on the field, 1 taps for 2, 1 taps for 2, and the 3rd taps for 3. Now, if you have all 3 of these out, you can get 7 mana. I have never had an opening hand where I have had all 3. I'll tell you what, though, if I ever get I get an opening hand with all 3 and Soul Ring, you better believe I'm putting all of them down. These auto-include Urza's Factory to go with Urza's, well, lands. You pay 7, tap, put a 2/2 Assembly Worker artifact creature token into play. Assuming you have Urzatron up and running, that's pretty good. Rocky Tar Pit, it's a sack land, a slow search land. Rupture Spire, land, Reliquary Tower. We are really hoping to get this out early because I'm kind of building the deck with it. Hey, okay, we're good. With the draw focus in mind, which kind of gets a little weird, but it'll be fine. Okay, I really need to find that. There it is. I need... no. Move to... Step 2 left. Step 2 right. Nope, that's not doing what I wanted to. So I'm trying to lower the music volume just a little bit. You know, I'm just gonna... Yeah, there we go. So, Rogue's Passage. This is great for getting in the final bits of damage we need. This is going in. Ruins of Oran Reef. Colorless creature pump. We're going to be having a lot of colorless creatures enter the battlefield. Radiant Fountain, it enters the battlefield untapped and gains its 2 life. Cool. Survivor's Encampment, it requires paying mana to, or tapping a creature to create colored mana, which we don't need. Spire of Inspiration, or Industry. Again, it's a land we don't need. Seraph Sanctuary enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life. Whenever an angel enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. Now, the 1 life at the beginning is really good. The 1 life for each angel is not going to play a factor. We have no angels. Well, Platinum Angel might count. Platinum Imperium. Shimmering Grotto, once again, pay 1 to make colored. Not really good. Sunscorched Desert enters the battlefield, deals 1 damage. Seagate Wreckage, 2 and colorless. Draw a card if you have no cards in hand. Springjack Pasture, this is a great way to create tokens and then sack them to mana ramp yourself. Sequestered Stash is a great way to filter your graveyard into your deck. For your deck into your graveyard, then grab an artifact that's key from that and put it on top of your library. Because this can be done at any time, that's really nice. Again, pay 1 to create mana. Not great. Because our commander doesn't have a color identity, Path of Ancestry becomes bunk and worth nothing. Phyrexia's Core allows us to sacrifice an artifact for 1 and gain a life. Mana Conflux, again, not great. Myriad Landscape is another one of those kind of meh cards. It will get used if we end up having enough basic lands. But Mishra's Factory, pay 1, it becomes a creature. It's a colorless manland that also gives +1/+1 counters to assembly orders. We're probably going to end up with a lot of those. Mystifying Maze, it allows us to defend for a couple turns before we get, beat to shit. So that's good. Got fat fingers. Might just be because the cam is stretched. Yeah, it's because the cam is stretched. Okay, cool. Well, we're just going to have lines on either side because that's fatty fingers. Field of Ruin allows us for more non-basic land destruction. Foundry of the Consuls can be sacrificed for 5 or 2 1/1 flyers. Forge of Heroes can allow us to be political and pump an enemy commander or our own if we should so desire. Once again, paying 1 to add to your mana pool, 1 of any color. Great. Normally, here it's garbage. Warped Landscape is... basically another basic land search, so we're probably not going to use it. Detection Tower removes Hexproof and Shroud. Only Hexproof. So that's meh. Dark Depths. This is going in no matter what. This is a end piece. This is how we end games. It takes 60 mana to remove all of the ice counters off it, and it gives you a 20/20 flying and indestructible creature token. Yeah, it's pretty good. Okay, so we got to look at things from the perspective of We have 59 cards that we need to fit in later. At minimum. So, because of the way that this is being handled, I have to go through the lands and knock it down to 40 now. Dark Depths, Urza's Tower, Urza's Mine, Urza's Power Plant, High Market, Temple of the False Gods, and Inventor's Fair. These cannot leave. These are going to be in the deck. 7. That is 7 of our 40 land slots already taken. Now, I'm just going to slide these right over here. Away. So we got 7. Now, that means we got to cut a lot of cards because there is more than 33 lands here. There's actually 40 lands here. Now, we're going to go down the line of what comes into play on tap and utility lands first. Detection Tower, good. Warped Landscape, meh. Forge of Heroes, meh. Boundary of Consoles, meh. Field of Ruin, meh. Mystifying Maze, Savior. Mishra's Factory, meh. Myriad Landscape, meh. Phyrexia's Court, pretty okay. Sequester's Stash, pretty okay. Springjack Pasture, pretty okay. Seagate Wreckage, pretty okay. Sunscorched Desert, meh. Seraph Sanctuary, meh. Radiant Fountain, meh. Ruins of Oron Reef, it comes into play tapped, so meh. Rogue's Passage allows for us to create an unblockable creature. That can be really good, especially if we're going to go down an equipment route and we need to get our commander in for the damage. Great. Reliquary Tower, it's okay. I mean, I don't expect us to need a lot of cards in hand. I really don't. So, but I've had scenarios where I've been wrong. So, good. Urza's Factory, we're almost always going to have an excess of mana. Ghost Quarter, destroys land. Grasping Dunes, it can be the linchpin between losing and winning. It just really depends. Gargoyle Castle, good. Each player draws a card, then discards a card. I personally hate looting, but there's going to be enough recursion in the deck that it doesn't really matter. Homeward Path, it's needed. Haunted Fencraft, it's needed. Haven of the Spirit Ghost, we're going to have recursion. It's not going to be needed. Command Beacon, it's okay. Can get around command tax, so we're not too worried about it. Crystal Vein, really good. I've had this ramp me into winning positions all the freaking time. Now, I'm kind of going through this pretty quick because I do kind of have plans that have popped up that I didn't realize were popping up right now. So, okay. There we go. So, Cradle of the Accursed, it's okay. If we can recur it, it's going to be amazing. It doesn't come into play tapped, so it's not that big of a deal. Cavern of Souls. Now, here's a weird one. Do we think the deck is going to be tribal enough to get away with it? For now, I'm thinking yes. Arcane Lighthouse to allow us to target things. This is going to be very, very, very little influence. Ash Barrens. Meh. Take it or leave it. It's a basic land cycle, so we need to find a basic land. Blasted Landscape. It's a better version. Buried Ruins. It gets us an artifact. Good. Isolated Watchtower. Meh. It's not looking like we're going to need any basic lands here. Zoetic Caverns. We can create a 2/2 creature that flips up to become not. It's amazing. A Scry on a Stick. Quicksand. Really great against ground creatures and can really fuck up some combat math. And if it's on the field, your opponents might just not want to attack in with their ground creatures. Dunes of the Dead. Well, we're not looking at too much actual land sacrifice, so it becomes meh. Darksteel Citadel. It's never going away. It's never being destroyed. It's always staying on the field. Great. Now, we got 7. I pulled out a bunch. This will not put us to 40. I can almost guarantee it. This is 25 lands. So that puts us at, I think, what, 32? Yeah. So we need, ideally, we should start. These are the cards that are good. These are the cards that are getting included. Bam. Those are going in. Now, we are not going to have any basic land. So that out. This out. Arcane Lighthouse. This can be good. So we'll include it. Dunes of the Dead. Again, we're not using lands to sacrifice anything, so it's out. Haven of the Spirit Dragon. We're going to have a recursion. It's out. Ruins of War on Reef. Colorless creature. It's in. That puts us to 34. Radiant Fountain. It's great. It's 2 mana. Good. 2 health. Seraph Sanctuary. If we were running Angels, it would be really good. So 1 mana, or 1 life each turn. Not good. So we're at 34. Sunscorched Desert. Really good. 1 damage. Can ping a player. That can mean all the difference. 35. Now we have to decide, do we really want to try and shoehorn in certain lands? Warp Landscape is going to be garbage because we have no basic land. Myriad Landscape, garbage, no basic lands. Mishra's Factory, it's a man land, can mess up combat math. It's in. Field of Ruin, destroy non-basic land. Non-basic land destruction, it's kind of a dick move. But, man. So, as I throw it in, we ended up with 38. Well, actually, hold on. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 4, 1, 2. 42. That's fine. Actually, no, it's not. No. And no. Okay. So we're at 40 lands. These are our lands. And though land destruction can be necessary sometimes, it won't be needed in the lands for this deck. I promise. We'll get to that later. Mishra's Factory can create a man. It's a man land. That's what it does. This, really, really, really good. Especially the fact that it can pump a creature as it comes into play. Sunscorched Desert. Good. It does 1 damage when it comes into play to a player. That can start a timer on a lot of players. When in a commander game, someone sees someone get pinged, the person doing the pinging can become the target, or the person that just took the first point of damage could become the target. It's really up in the air. Radiant Fountain, it's 2 life. I mean, that can mean a lot or very little. War on Reef. Ruins of War on Reef, I should say. Well, this card is great because it really, really messes with combat math. If you decide to pump your commander in this case, which I would like to point out, this is our commander. Where's the focus? Karn. He's a 4/4 for 5 colorless. Now he's a 5/5 for 5 colorless. That becomes a 1/9 when he blocks or is blocked. That's really good. This is a card that works really well with it. Arcane Lighthouse. It allows you to target everything. Darksteel Citadel. Won't ever go away. Quicksand. Great against ground attackers and can make someone wary to attack you. Zulfin Void. Doesn't enter tapped, but gives you a scry effect. That's really good. Zoetic Caverns. Again, it's a man land. You can swing in with it without worrying about anything. Buried Ruins. It gets you an artifact back. That's pretty okay. Blasted Landscape. When you really don't need the mana, you can just cycle it away and draw the card. So, variable. Cavern of Souls. You can make it so that your commander can't be countered. I actually need to look up Karn. I think he's a golem. Or whatever you're holding, the thing that you really don't want to be countered. Cradle of the Accursed can create 2/2 black creature tokens, and as long as you're able to recur it, it's pretty good. Otherwise, it just comes into play untapped, and you can tap it for mana. Crystal Cavern can ramp you up a little bit more. Command Beacon, again, grab you a thing. Return a random creature, that's can be good, but can also be bad. Homeward Path, grab your things back. Dire Reach, Sanitarium. I mean, I don't necessarily like looting, but I'm trying to get better about it, because looting can be extremely powerful. Gargoyle Castle, again, it can be really good. It can give you that extra creature you need when you really need it. Grasping Dune, -1/-1 counter. Of course, it's at sorcery speeds, so not necessarily a combat trick, but after combat, you've done your blockers, there's a creature on the field that has 1 health left, you can just nuke it with that. Ghost Quarter, destroy, I think, target land, that's great. You can swap something out for a basic if you really don't want to deal with it. Urza's Factory, it's Urza's Factory, it's 2/2 tokens, assuming you have Urzatron up. Or you just have a bunch of land or mana dorms. Reliquary Tower, no hand size limit. Rogue's Passage, that gets through things. Seagate Wreckage, again, more draw, assuming you're empty-handed. Springjack Pasture, mana ramp, Sequestered Stash, you get to mill yourself and then get an artifact back. Phyrexia Core, take it or leave it. It'll probably be one of the first things that come out, if I need to. Mystifying Maze allows you to survive an attack. Detection Tower basically does the same thing as Arcane Lighthouse, but only to creatures with hexproof, so not as good. Your finisher is Dark Depths. Technically, it doesn't take the land slot, but we're at 40, so we're technically at 39 lands. Then you have Urzatron, 7 mana and 3 cards. That's really good. High Market. We're saving something that is about to get exiled. You would not believe how many times that gets used for this. Temple of the False Gods, 2 mana. It's a soul ring after you have 5 lands. It counts itself. I repeat, it counts itself. And then Inventor's Fair, 1 life every turn. Essentially guaranteed in this deck because it's an artifact deck. There's your 40 lands. Cut down. And made good. That's where we're starting. Truth Factor. Now, here's where it gets real funky. I have not 1 stack, but 2 stacks, and 2 stacks that are both taller than the one that I just went through. I am going to start on this. But, again, plans being plans, I can't really... Hold on. I need to make sure something's alright. Okay. Now, we have decisions to make. How heavily do we want to go into equipment? If we want to go into equipment hard, and we want to... Hold on. I'm doing some focusing. There we go. And we need to decide whether or not we want to do certain things. Now, equipment is going to be... There's a lot of equipment. There is a lot of equipment. One thing I'm going to say right now, though. Cards like Sword of the Animist, although normally incredible in Commander, where it grabs a bunch of basic lands, garbage. It's out. It grabs basic lands. Slab Hammer. We do not want to be returning lands to our hand, period. Well, do we? Now, here's the conundrum. Say we tap the 2 to get Slab Hammer down with, I don't know, Temple of the False Gods. Then we tap 2 to equip it to a creature that can attack this turn. Then we attack. We return Temple of the False Gods to our hand. Then that creature gets +2/+2, until end of turn. Then we replay Temple of the False Gods and tap it for 2 more mana. The issue is that is only good with like 3 cards. It's going in. For now. Strider Harness gives a creature haste. That's really good. Target player exiles a card from their graveyard. This can be used. Oh, hold on. I just realized where I'm at with the image. Scrabbling Claws. This can be really good against graveyard decks. It does give the option of choice, and it's very clear that you're targeting. So it's meant. Spider Silk Net. It allows us to have a little bit of reach against flyers, which we'll have more of later down the line. But for now, that's going in. Scuttlemutt. It creates a color mana for 3. And it's slow. But target creature becomes the color or colors of your choice until end of turn. This can really mess with things, but it's such an edge case scenario that it's not worth doing. Scuttling Doom Engine, on the other hand, can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. It is a 6/6. That means no chump blocking. When Scuttling Doom Engine dies, it deals 6 damage to target opponent or planeswalker. It's really good. Choose a player. That player adds 1 mana to random. Adds 1 mana of any color to their color they choose. This is garbage. We are specifically looking for cards, at least for the main part of this, that help us, rather than that help the table. This Spectral Searchlight is really good in a 2-headed Giants game, because then you can help your partner cast that thing that 1 mana off from. Otherwise, it's garbage. There's another card in here that does the same thing, but it's also good. So, Staff of the Magus. All 4 of these. The issue is, it references a single color. I only don't have the green one. I need to get the green Staff of the Magus, and yeah. So, those are out. Sky Sovereign Console Flagship. It is a legendary artifact vehicle. For 6/5 and a crew of 3. That means you have to tap 3 power worth of creatures. It becomes a creature until end of turn. I will talk about some shenanigans that can be done a little later down the line, because this will most likely only ever be a 5/5. To our commander, allowing us to turn creatures out of it. Non-creature artifacts into artifact creatures until end of turn. That works real good with this guy. Things like this that just deal damage. Yeah. It's a 6/5. We're going to include it for now. Alrighty. Silent Dart. Sacrifice it, it deals 3 damage to any target. We need value, not garbage. A 4/4 for 5. We need value, garbage. Solemn Simulacrum. We need value, not garbage. Remember, we have no basic lands in our deck. Skyblinder's Staff. Really good. It allows us to get around flyers. Sundering Titan. The issue is, he destroys a land of each basic land type. The advantage is, we have no basic lands. So he's in. Sigh of Shinobi. You can have it enter the battlefield equipped to a creature. So it's 1 for 1/1, otherwise it's equipped to. That's garbage. Smuggler's Copter. Whenever it attacks or blocks, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. It's an equip of 1, it has flying, and it's a 3/3, but it would usually be a 2/2 with meh. Sigiled Sword of Valerian. This is going in simply because it allows us to create more creatures, because of its ability to, whenever a creature attacks, creates a 2/2. So, yeah. Seer's Lantern. It allows us to cycle through our deck looking for that answer. Skittering Surveyor. Again, basic land card. Sword of Vengeance. It's just a good land, or it's just an good equipment. I'll get into why Sword of Vengeance is kind of weird a little later down. There's a specific piece of equipment that is in the H category that I'm fully looking forward to talking about. Stratus Scythe, library for a land, exile it. +1/+1 for each land that's on the battlefield that shares a name with it. We only have one of them. This is garbage. Shield of the Realm. Source would deal damage to a creature, prevent 2 of that damage. Good. Sunburst. This requires paying different colored mana. No. Staff of Nin. It deals 1 damage as a pinger, and during your upkeep you draw a card. That's a good card. That's fine. Soul Tethered Golem. Vanishing 1 whenever another creature comes into play under your control. Put a time counter on him. He's a 3/3 for 2, but you have to have a steady stream of creatures come into play. So he's not really that good. Sliver Construct, it's 2/2 for 3, it's garbage. Sky Scanner enters the battlefield, you draw a card. It's technically draw 2 mana and a 1/1 fire. Equipped creature, Scythe Claw. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 whenever a equipped creature deals combat damage to a player. That player loses half his or her life rounded up. Now we have enough ways to make things unpopular. So it's clean. Sparring Golem, or Sparring Construct, it's 1 for a 1/1 that when it dies, it gives another creature a 1/1 counter. The only thing really that would be good for that would be our commander, but we'll include it and probably cut it later. Skull Clamp, you could just kill that Sparring Golem or Sparring Construct and get away with it. Sky Skiff, it's a 2/3 with flying. Kind of good. It's a 2/2 with flying if you do commander route. Steel Hellkite. I think it speaks for itself. It's a 6 mana 5/5 with flying, and then you pay 2, and it's an artifact fire breathing. But then you pay X, and you destroy each non-land permanent with converted mana cost X. With converted mana cost X, whose controller was dealt damage by Steel Hellkite this turn. Activate this ability only once each turn. Now, if someone has a big ass token army, you can basically go, yeah, no, that's cool. Surveyor's Scope, exile Surveyor's Scope, search your library for basic lands, never mind. Sarpadian Empires for 3, put a 1/1 creature token on the battlefield, that's garbage. Soul Nephrecti, it's a 6/6 with trample that gives all of your stuff indestructible, yes! Sandstone Golem, cards in hand draw equal to that. Sun Droplet, in life every turn if you've been damaged. Basically, as long as you have this on the field, you are constantly gaining life. 1 per turn, but hey. Soulnet. Pay 1, gain a life. Well, we just got Sun Droplet. Why would we want to pay a life, or pay a mana to gain a life when a creature dies? Scion of Ugin. This is our dragon spirit that would have been for the Haven of Ugin or whatever. It's 4/4 with flying for 6, that's okay. Serrated Arrows. Remove an arrowhead counter from Serrated Arrows, put 1/1 counter on target creature. When it has no arrowhead counters, remove it from play. Destroy it. Not remove it. Destroy it. Goes to the graveyard. Not exile. It's good. Target creature can't be blocked. It's 2, and it's Defender. That's a 0/4. That's good. Now, I think I'm going to wait and do the rest of these after I get back in a couple hours. I am being the responsible driver for finals week, or the after finals fun, so that should be fun. Alright, well, we have so far 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. We have a total of 65 cards in our deck. 66. Forgot about the mana. That means we're not through the first stack or the second stack. Which means we're gonna have to cut cards we want to include. I'll explain why, or I'll explain how I do that myself. when I come back. It'll be a couple hours. Don't worry. But I will be back. All right. Well, toodles.